Yes, back once again with the Renegade Master, Quinny. We're into injury time now, the 91st episode of the End Product Podcast. We're back in full effect, and we're back on Twitch, Quinny, as I can see. So we're up on the Twitch again this week.
We're up on everywhere, here, there, and everywhere. And apologies for any of you that catch the audio version of this. Last week's episode went out very, very last minute. We'll try and get this one out post haste. So, if any of you that are listening to us on Spotify and all these other places, apologies for the delay. And hopefully, you've had a wee double episode to kind of, or wee back to back effort to ram through. But yeah, back and in full effect, ready for it is full effect, isn't it, Stish, for internationals? Normally, internationals, just the general windows and Nations League and whatever, has been kind of passive. The Global Cup was another thing, but this is like full on Euros rivals in international season.
Definitely, and I'm glad to be here to pick your brain because I've been looking at. I don't know about you. There's obviously lots of options and tournaments to get involved in starting this weekend. What are you kind of looking forward to the most? Are you excited for the sort of free-to-play rivals mode, which I've been looking at quite a lot in the last few days, and I feel like there seems to be a lot of prizes that I didn't expect in there. You know, a lot of people who play it, pretty much everyone's, well, I think 100% of people will win something. It might not be a card, but there's actually a lot of cards in there, isn't there? Like quite a lot of people who play this game are going to end up with like a tangible reward, whether that is in the case of most of us, it might be like a tier 5 limited or something like that. But there's actually a lot more. I must have missed that, but I was reading the kind of terms and conditions this morning, and there's a lot more prizes than I expected. Where are your focuses going to be on the tournament come Friday? What are you getting excited for?
I think the best thing about all the innovations that they've done is that I am very glad that I have never like chased down international cards, if you know what I mean. Like, I better go and fill a team out because, like to really embrace all of this stuff, all you need to do is play rivals, and, you don't need any cards to do that whatsoever. So if you've got cards, cool. If you don't, just as good, if not better, if you're in the UK, certainly, and maybe one or two other places. But yeah, it's all about rivals for me. And yeah, on that note of what you said there, I think one of the most overlooked elements of this is that every mini league on each match day, the top person gets a box from Sorare, Even in your own mini league, that you're listening to this right now, the top person in your league, Sorare, are giving you a box on each match day or game day. I'm not too sure of the exact day, but it's like per day, top goal scorer, top shooter, whatever they're calling it. And yeah, when you extrapolate that out over how many leagues there will be, that is just a bucket of boxes. Everyone's joining 5 each. So if you're top goal scorer on a day, safe to say you're probably going to be in amongst it across a couple of the leagues that you're fighting in. So like there is way more prizes than you first see at surface level, for sure. So yeah, I think it's all about rivals for really anyone playing the game, no matter what your budget and your size. But I'm not really looking too much at the main competition or trying to fill a team out or get another entry together or anything like that, because the experience I've always had with international football on Sorare, predominantly like the youth football, because that's the one I've engaged with the most, under 21 Euros and stuff, is that the group stage is really where the majority, 70% of the party is, and then maybe, again, if it being rivals, that'll probably change quite dramatically. But when it comes to the actual cards you've got, your gallery, having a strategy for it, because after the group stages, it's just it's a pick and mix of what's happened, things that have went for you and against you. It's hard to really get through a whole tournament unless you've got a mad gallery.
Yeah, from what I can read as well, I might be wrong. If anyone in the chat can pull us up on anything we get wrong as well, we want to try and set the record as straight as possible for anyone playing rivals or any kind of format in the Euros. But one of the things I took from reading terms and conditions, if I understand correctly, is on rivals, there won't be any scarcity bonuses for the Euros tournament. So even if you do have cards for the players in the tournament, I don't think you're going to have any positive boost over even like a new player coming into the game. They've wanted to make this rivals like the entry level for everyone, and it feels like I think that's a smart thing, because I think that the Global Cup was a lot like that. And from listening to a lot of the podcasts in the space, it seemed like a lot of the newer players came into the game via the Global Cup. So hopefully the Euros rivals does similarly. It'd be interesting to see what the kind of sign-ups have been like and whether or not the team are happy with the rate at which people are signing up for it. But I like the fact that it's kind of a level playing field, because I think that playing rivals as is with your bonuses on your rares and limiteds and unique supers, etc., it doesn't always actually give you that much of a benefit anyway, because then you're only going to get matched up to someone else who similarly kind of the matching systems are a lot better now, I think, since they're kind of like 2.0, where we are getting matched against people who have a similar kind of like maximum output of our cards. So I'm excited for it. I've been really enjoying Rivals, and I woke up this morning to find that maybe overnight I think I was third in the Rivals League in Division 3, and I'm all the way down in like 15th. I'm miles out of the running, with only a few fixtures left in the friendlies to go this evening. So you're going to have to be on the ball here. You're going to have to really be. You're going to have to make sure you don't miss any fixtures. I think, if you want to do well, and it's going to be really important to get your lineups in for every fixture in this tournament. I don't think it's going to pay to be casual about it. What do you reckon?
I'm with you. I'm with you in a big way on that. That you do want to engage like all the way through it, because it's going to be a really good one. And this is going to be a great example of what makes Sorare really good, in the sense of like the players you can pick and stuff like that. The only small thing I'll say just before I kind of pick up on a great thing you've just shared with us there, Hoodwink's confirmed for us, is that like it would be nice if there was like a tournament format, of some sort, where you could just set a 5 and I don't know, maybe that's something for another day or whatever. But just when you see other people like competitor platforms, essentially, FPL's version, I see Fan Team have got a version, everyone's got a Euro attempt kind of thing, and that is like the kind of staple of some of these international things, where you try and pick. If I was to enter into any of those kind of things, I would be wanting to try and pick a team of the tournament. That's my fantasy team, and like lock that in, and then maybe make a sub or two throughout it, but you don't really give it much attention. So it would have been maybe nicer, maybe a wee bit of food for thought for next time, but that there is a wee bit more, because again, engaging with every game is, for maybe a lot of people, especially if you're watching the match, it's super easy to do, but as we know, even with the strategy I just said there, like a lot of fans will drip away after the group stages, and then they'll watch one quarterfinal, they'll watch the big semi, they'll watch the final. They're not going to watch. Maybe people do. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's like the season. The peak audience is pre kickoff of the first game, and then from there it's a slope down, isn't it? But Hoodwink's confirmed what you said there. Yes, there's no scarcity bonus in Rivals, and I hadn't known or really noticed that. But what I did notice was, it always serves you up your best version of a card if you've got multiples as the one to pick from. And I was noticing for Scotland that it was always giving me a rare McGregor over my unique one. And I thought, and I never really connected the dots of what was happening, but it's because that's get big XP, collection bonus, etc. Yeah, so you still get that in Rivals. So if you've got like a 15% limited, or dependent, we're at the end of a season. So if in-season bonus is still on a card, you've got a collection at 5%, and then you've got your guy with some boosts up to the level 15 mark or so. You might have a 17% limited in there that, is going to beat a unique. It's not, you've not got that same scarcity bonus thing. So depending on how you've been shopping and buying or whatever, there might be a little edge come around for the high XP collection bonus season, that trifecta, the Zenith effect, I think we used to call it, if you've still got a bit of that on the go with OP cards from still hanging on to the season bonus. So yeah, that's definitely a good one. And this brings up another kind of good point, kind of similar to, like, I've never really chased into internationals. I don't think I've really sold into it, but Adam here talking about that he's selling in and then trying to get into the new season, because again, you've got that flexibility. You don't really feel like you're missing out, as long as you've got the will to engage with the rival stuff and you're in a few private leagues, then that is the party. So I think that's where the full focus comes. And we've been playing the divisions for the last couple of weeks since they kind of reformatted it all, and although the game hasn't changed, it's still the same tactics, it's still the same, they give you a different cap per match and all the other stuff that's going on there. It does feel like we're all getting a little bit extra tuned into what is the smart pick, what is the strategy for this game that won't pay off and stuff like that. So full on rival mania.
Yeah, I think the beauty of Rivals is like, whereas before we might have had to like do all of our scouting, like now, you're going to get better at this game as you get eyes on these players as well. A lot of the nations, the players that we were not all as familiar with, maybe. I I was thinking about that this morning. There'll be certain players that will just emerge as like a good pick for the next game if they stand out in those first round of fixtures, or if we get a couple of giant killings, or there's always like an emergent talent, isn't there, of the tournament, and there could be a few hidden gems out there that end up becoming like the kind of go-to picks for fixtures where maybe their L15 is low from their club football, but when it comes to international, they're top dog. And it's going to be exciting to see how it all plays out. Being a massive Zinedine Zidane fan, I'm definitely going to be trying as hard as I possibly can to get everyone in my mini league motivated, kind of for the greater good of each other, trying to be getting into those final stages. If we're anywhere near the top end of the league's ladder, I think we'll all be pulling together to scout almost like as a team. I think like the kind of those teams that get to the top end of the business end of the tournament, finding themselves anywhere near that Zidane experience, it's going to become less about trying to win your league and about your league winning against all the other leagues, isn't it? So that is something that we haven't had on the platform ever. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, this kind of chat room function. I don't know if you had a little look, Quinny.
They've
been kind of running this like a rivals light, if you like, leagues training. And if you click into it, you can kind of see this activity bar. That
where's your screen?
Let me share the screen. Yeah, let me share the screen. 2 seconds. I need to get the right window open now. Okay, that's it. So, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
There we go. So yeah, on the left-hand side, you've got this kind of like chat where it also kind of functions as a news bulletin board, if you like. When the game finishes, it tells you which player scored the best score, blah, blah, blah. But you can also kind of like add little bits of chat and banter and stuff in there. Like you've got your GIFs going on, and it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. It's a bit difficult to maybe see how it works in this like league's training, if you like. But yeah, you can kind of see like the matches coming up. You can see the matches that have passed. You've got your activity there. You've got your leaderboards there. So I'm glad they did this, but it hasn't cleared it up completely for me, because I think looking at the league's leaderboard with like thousands of people in it, it'd be a bit easier when you're looking at one with maybe like 20 to, what is it? Is it a maximum of 20 people per league? I can't actually remember.
Yeah, max 20, minimum 5.
Yeah. So you're only going to have 20 people in there, sort of firing the banter back and forth. But yeah, on the subject of leagues, Quinny, I've seen your announcement. You've got a pretty nice little side pot of rewards going on in your mini league. Do you want to sort of walk us through what people playing your league are going to be able to win?
Yeah, so again, thanks to Sorare, for reaching out and organising it all and everything. We've got the gifts in action as well for everyone that's just joining the Tartan Army League, as I ended up calling it. So what was it they gave us all in total? So we've got a signed shirt, we've got Celtic tickets, so you and a +1, and then you come with me as well. We go to the game together. There's a bunch of people getting Premier League tickets and a +1. That's across the top 5, I think. And then from 6 to 8, we're giving away. I've not had the tier specified. They only said nice limiteds. I said, okay, we'll take the nice limiteds. I have seen some other people, but I've got, honestly, very thankful for all the support from Sorare. It's an official ambassadors league and everything, and they really supported the channel out great. But there's a lot of great leagues out there that are giving away rare cards, VIP tickets, and all sorts of other stuff. Obviously, we've got the likes of Nellis and Fiago, the guys that we know around the community that always get in on the big action, as it were. So I'm sure a lot of people will be tied into those leagues as well. But everyone that does contribute into this league, of course, we've probably got the best chance of actually reigning supreme in this league, because this is this is our little community, as it were. We've got, I think, about 500 entrants in it at the moment. So it's as far as these bigger leagues go, this is probably one that you've got a fun shot at trying winning, compared to the Penfez and Haber and all these other guys that'll have genuinely a good couple of foul in them. Up here, I'm not too sure how many will finish on, but I think you'll have a good shot getting in amongst it. And so again, thanks to Sorare for that, and hopefully all you guys can jump on it. If you're already on Sorare and you want to just hit join league, the code is Quinny, again, thanks to Sorare for sorting that out. Easy peasy. But I get invited into a few lovely leagues as well that I managed to accept. And I never really thought about trying to win any of the league stuff, to be honest with you. But I get invited into this league here, which is a collectors league, the Risu set up. Yeah, Risu Wasaka set up. And so it's just a bunch of top collectors. Laird is in it, Sorare Down Under, Pavlo. Nice. There's a few people in here, which is a fun one. And then I get invited to this one as well by Dazer, a Sorare Lifers one. So this is a bunch of OGs in here, which is all good fun. And everything as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting involved in some of the banter and all these ones. But then I got invited into this one by Pranksy, and I still wasn't, until this league came out, I wasn't even thinking still about trying to win it or anything until I done his wee Twitter announcement. I don't know if any of you have seen it. He's calling it the Avengers and all that stuff. Because
yeah, I saw that.
He's went round and he's got a bunch of heavy hitters into the league, you know, Nanzos and PSUs and Bambis and a few other guys that are big swingers. Harry's in here as well. But I seen that announcement. I was like, oh, cool, we might actually win it. You know, we might actually win it.
That's
so
yeah,
I'm quite excited. I'm quite glad to be in this one. I'm quite excited for how this one might do. And whatever. So yeah, like I say, like it's all about the leagues you're involved in. You can join 5-1s between you and your friends and stuff like that. And I say in all these leagues, top person every day gets a box from Sorare, as well as all the stuff that's going on. But you can also join a bunch of ambassador leagues. I don't think you can join them all. You can join a bunch, but by all means, if you're listening to this, please do join mine, show some support and all the rest of it. But I would definitely then be hitting on the hashtags on Twitter and scouting out who's got the most cards going out and that kind of thing. So again, with all this, when Sorare were in contact with me with this, they did ask me, you know, like, what does your community value the most? You know, what do you think would do the best with them? And that's why I thought a lot of you guys on the UK Supreme League tickets would do well, and a couple of cards for those guys that maybe are abroad or couldn't make it. So, but then other accounts have just went all cards. Some of them have went for some VIP tickets. Some of them have went with more shirts and stuff like that, you know. So, depending on what tickles your pickle, you can definitely get hunting and try and go get some stuff. But yeah, that's my league. We've got an FC Barcelona one or two up as well for the. Oh no, that's Tartan Army League. This is the one here. This is the one that they set up. The FC Barcelona one I had there was the members one. So people have got their season ticket on the channel. Can we see how many entries we've got in here? Again, it's a couple of hundred or something. I don't think it tells me that obviously here anywhere, does it? No. But yeah, again, thanks to all the support for everyone that's in it. And bring it on.
Nice. Yeah, because I think you can enter, am I right in thinking you can enter 5? Is that 5 each, or is it 5? Like, do they differentiate the sort of ambassador?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Rico Man's got the intel. It's 3 ambassador leagues, so you can join mine and 2 others or whatever, and 5 that anyone can create.
So for anyone listening, let's see if we can figure out what when we're thinking of ambassador leagues, is that like your own one there that you've just mentioned? We've seen Ilkay Gundogan, we've seen Harry Redknapp. Are those classed as ambassador leagues as well?
Yeah.
So there's quite a few of them floating about. Then you've mentioned Haber, Nepenthes. I've seen John Nellis has got one. I've seen Thiago's got one. So there's a lot to choose from, which is good because then it means that we're going to have a bit more of a spread of the rewards. You can't just, like we were talking about.
Ellis Platten Away Days has got one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're doing some of that stuff with it as well. I've seen Away Days post it. There might be 1 or 2 others. I've not went looking for it, but that's somebody I follow anyway. So it came on my timeline, you know. So yeah, there's that kind of thing on the go as well. So again, and again, I think for him it's tickets and shirts. I don't think. Let's go and see what he got or what he Away Days. Let's see what he's given away. Because his will be different, of course. I doubt it'll be that card heavy. Maybe it is. There it's there.
I've got to pick out which leagues I'm going to join. That's going to be my job this week. Trying to
match tickets, sign shirts, and then he's got some cards.
Nice. What are the responses like on the Twitter accounts of the sort of like you're not like we see a lot of like obviously Nepenthes and Haber and Thiago and John, obviously a lot of their following is kind of like Sorare centric anyway, like they're familiar with the product. But what's the response been like to these announcements from maybe like the professional footballers and the kind of more like football influencer accounts? Are people overall, do you think, quite happy about it, or does it still have that kind of? Do you feel like we've shaken that crypto stigma off a little bit now?
So I don't. So that's a great question. All you need to do is hit and join league, and then the code is Quinny. So it's as easy as that. So that's a great thing to think about. And I was saying this privately somewhere else, but like, I do think, like, especially on social media, like, it's not necessarily like people might still have the crypto thing tarred against it, but I do think some people will have against it. Like, you see anything that has any level of aggressive marketing or like a bullish kind of core community, is like people will mute it and people will, like, you know, block it and do stuff like that, if you know what I mean. So if you then push the boat out and you're doing Harry Redknapp and all that kind of stuff, there might be some people that are just, you know, blind to it. You know, the platform just won't show them it because of some sort of previous things, which I think is a part of the reason why the Rivals, it's not really a rebrand, but it's a separate brand in a way. You know, it's maybe a small workaround. So I do feel that, like, Rivals is quite, it's got its own identity almost in a little way. So I do think that maybe the penny drop will happen for some people where like, oh, is that those things I've seen those people talking about before or going crazy for before or whatever. They might get a bit of that, but I do think generally, like, the majority of people out there, it's still going to be the first time they're coming across it, you know. So it's maybe not something they associate with the platform. Whereas, like, see, now when I'm talking about Sorare, it is like, oh yeah, remember and bring up the NFT stuff is in this, and it's kind of cool, even though it's not really anything that's that important about anything anymore. Like, ETH is totally hidden away. You don't need to be linking wallets, or all this stuff is just gone. It's just a thing of the past. But it's kind of like what we were saying last week in a way, but, like, you know, that's the core part of the game that makes it viable for the long term, that makes it something different from everything else. And now that they've fleshed the rest of the game out, that core little foundation thing is just something that I've always seen as being something that would put you over the top. Is like, I'm bought into this. I know I can invest time and effort into it, and it's not going to, like, blow up in my face or be, like, expensive and not, you know, like FIFA cards, you know, just throwing money into the abyss every season. You know, it's not going to be that. So I'm not sure that stigma, like, it's definitely some people will have it against it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not sure that's as widespread a problem as maybe people who have feared over time. I just think, like, Sorare's always just been a really small corner of the internet, as much as they own and control it, you know.
Yeah, I'm just having a little look now on Twitter at some of the posts and seeing some of the comments, and it's definitely a lot different now than maybe a year ago, where something like this would have been announced, and, you know, like, like when the Premier League, for example, would tweet about the Sorare competitions in the Premier League, the comments underneath their posts would be like, crypto scam, this, that, and the other. But for the most part, from what I can see, you know, I'm looking at kind of the larger kind of Twitter accounts, different languages. People in general, the reactions seem to be pretty good. There's very little mention of the word crypto or NFT or scam underneath anything. So I think that, you know, if we look back at where we thought the product was going and why it was important that they had, like, you know, the bank accounts link, all those kind of things, I think this is a good indicator that all the things we were hoping would come of the kind of, although it is built on the crypto blockchain, all of that kind of stuff, we know that, like, for mass adoption, it kind of needs to not necessarily distance itself, but it doesn't need to, it's not a crypto product anymore. It's a consumer product that's built on blockchain technology. I think that's how you explain it now, and it looks like it's working, because this is probably the first really major marketing campaign that they've done, like proper one, with, you know, they've got all of the pieces in place now. They can really go, and hopefully, you know, have a lot less to worry about in terms of how hard they go with the marketing. And looking at the overall response to, especially, like, you know, like the influencers, the FPL people, the response to all of their tweets are pretty good, which is really good to see, because I think that bodes well for, right, when we go again off the back of this, it's going to be the rollout for the Bundesliga, La Liga, Premier League starting. You know, by the time the Euros are finished, we're not going to be waiting that long before we're getting ready for the new season, and we'll probably have new season cards out pretty soon after the Euros, I'd imagine, or even we might even start to see some of them rolled out during, if all was going well. So yeah, pretty positive. I think that they will count that as a W. I think they'll be pretty happy overall with the response, and yeah, it'd be great to see what those stats look like in terms of like new sign-ups, that kind of thing. And then I think that giving away a lot of cards as well is a good move, because anyone who's never played the game before that ends up with a limited or a rare or something like that in their gallery, then they might be a little bit more incentivized to go, oh, I've got a card, oh, and I've won some credit for the auction market or something like that. And before you know it, they've kind of red pilled a bunch of new players into the game in time for the start of next season. So feels like go time, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, Gaza makes a good point about Harry Redknapp as well. And I got big deja vu. Some people in the community will remember this, but I get big deja vu from when, was it Chris Kamara did Footstock or something like that? But it was like, that, you know, but I think Harry Redknapp is like next, he's like top tier, like person you could get to do, especially like managing the team and all that kind of, you know, the joke, the advert they made, everything was brilliant. And it was like total nail on the head. It wasn't like a B-lister. Like Harry Redknapp's firmly an A-lister in this regard, you know. So yeah, I would love to see if there is any kind of follow-on action where, you know, I don't know what kind of banter they could have set up for him or whatever. But I did feel quite good as well about the Gundogan one, because I did feel that Gundogan, like we got a few kind of bits of content from Sorare from him. And it does, I don't know, I get the kind of vibes that he was like PK, he was a wee bit like Andre Schürrle. He's kind of like in, you know, like he's kind of, he gets it and he's like, oh yeah, I can see this. And I think was on this stream, this podcast last week, we were looking at Gundo's account. He's been buying some cards and stuff like that, you know.
All of his teammates.
So yeah, like I love to see more of this stuff, and it's just strength from strength effort. And I think when it comes to like end products, you know, also the podcast and all the rest of it, we're here on for the day. Like it's great that we could fully immerse in international football regardless of the amount of cards you've got. Now, I must confess, I have bought some cards over the last couple of days that do play internationals, right? But I've not bought them because they play internationals. I've not bought them specifically to use them in this tournament or whatever. But as you always get at the end of the European season, even with this big push, there's some players that still like out of season, they just go as low as they've been. You know, it's just the way it is. So there is a wee bit of a Euro premium on some guys that maybe their their off-season floor hasn't really been as low or whatever. But there's still a couple of guys I went and picked up that I was just like, yeah, it's pretty much as cheap as they've been going, and I don't see them getting much cheaper over the Euros, you know, and then subsequently, say you click your fingers and you're going to be into the new season anyway. And, you know, with collections, the season of the card for me is something I can't really negotiate on too much. So I got a wee Oyarzabal off auction. So that's the first owner. It goes into that wee Sociedad collection, which is fun. And I went and got a Danny Olmo again in an old season, so limited quantity. And this just felt like the lowest price he's been in ages, like genuinely like 150, 200 pound card, even in these kind of newer times. And picking him up for, I didn't quite get 85. I think I paid 89 or something. I don't know how much he plays for Spain. Same way as well, probably off the bench and rotation or whatever. But yeah, I'm looking ahead, similar to one of the comments we had right at the beginning of the show, talking about selling into the hype to buy for new season. I'm not really necessarily buying non-internationals and selling into the hype or whatever, but there's definitely a lot of good work can be done for the real stuff, you know, when we come to August.
Yeah, I think I managed to take a bit of an L. I had my Frimpong card listed, my rare. And I'm looking now, it doesn't seem to have been picked up in the kind of recent sales on his rare cards. But I accepted an offer that literally, I think someone sent in an offer and I replied back pretty much asking for what the last auction had gone for, which at the time was about 65 quid. And then I looked again and it accepted and bought it. But then in the time between me sending that offer back, a public offer had gone at 73 quid, and then an instant buy at 92, and then an auction has since gone at 96, all on that same day. So I basically sold Frimpong for about 65 quid, I think, if I remember rightly. And within a couple of hours of that being sold, he was up to 96, because I think he scored a 93 in the game against Canada. And yeah, that instantly pushed him up, I guess people are looking at him now as a potential starter for the Netherlands and thought, yep, get him in. So his price rocketed pretty much 50% in the space of a few hours. And I was unfortunately at the bottom end of those trades with what was a bit of a weak sell. But Frimpong is a card that if you carry a Frimpong, as I do, I've got his super rare. Quinny, you'll know, and I think we mentioned it, his scoring is either 90 plus or minus 20. It's like, and I think next season with the cards I've got, especially in Champ, because I think he's firmly stuck. If he moves from Leverkusen, he could go to a team where he might be a bit more rotated. I think anyone holding his cards kind of hoping he'll stay there because he is a good player for Leverkusen. But yeah, in terms of his matrix, the way he scores, I think I've got more sort of solid AA scorers in defence, like players like Di Lorenzo at Napoli and stuff like that, where they're just a bit more solid the way they play. They're not as like gung ho, which is great if you're the sort of player who wants a decisive. Frimpong's your guy. But if you're a bit like me, who just wants a solid bit of AA and hopefully a clean sheet to take that defender up to like a 70 plus, I'm more happy with that than risking like a score of 10 or a score of 90 with a Frimpong. So I'll stick with him in super rare, but still a bit gutted that I sold it as low as I did. But I think bear that in mind, anyone listening there. If you've got cards listed that are playing in the Euros that have a friendly left, maybe take them off the market and wait and see how they get on in that friendly, or list them up at half time if they've hit a decisive or something like that. I don't know, but I definitely wasn't really thinking that much about while he was listed what I was doing. But it's money in the bank, no less, is it? Like 65 quid off a card that I won a few weeks ago. I might not have got the top end of his deal, but I got some money in the bank ready for next season. So yeah, I haven't bought any in, but I've seen a couple leave the gallery. And he was definitely the most notable one, especially with the Euros coming up.
Now, one thing as well, I do think to keep on the Euros, so the Sorare special competition is called the European Championship, okay? I've just got the rare one up on screen just for convenience, right? We can put 3 entries into it, but it's only one division. So, like, this is, like, there is a lot of cards. We're getting 500 places paid out for T5s. We're getting the boxes guaranteed for top 25%, which I think top 25% is always really, if you're not in that, you can't really be asking for much. But as we know, over the last couple of days, I dropped a video on my channel yesterday breaking down the Essence milestones or whatever. But these boxes have got like no chance of a card in them, essentially. It's 1% across all the tiers combined, and it's essentially an Essence giveaway. Now, I kind of want to just highlight that to everyone. So you're not going to be in Division 3 and hiding from people or anything like that. It's just everyone's in. Go for it. But number 2, like I said on the Essence breakdown, and I'll just kind of reiterate it again, I don't think this will be the way Essence is given out in the new season, because the card payout in boxes wasn't 1%. It was like 10, 12%, 8%, depending on different elements and scarcities and whatever. And I think we'll probably see that return, which means then in kind, there's going to be less frequency of Essence payout, maybe by how much, who knows, because it's always been power-ups at this point, so it's hard to gauge. But it does feel like this tournament, really more than anything, is an Essence grab rather than, for everyone, because I think when we see the new season, there'll be less Essence in boxes than what we see here, for example.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at the Essence thing, and you will probably know this better than me because you've done some content around it. But I remember thinking when I had a brief look at the payouts and how much you need to mint a card, whatnot. Am I right in thinking that if you are lucky enough to hit that kind of 20 Essence on, like 20 time card Essence was, what percentage was that? 20 times card Essence, you got a 10% chance of winning that, which was about the same as winning a card, right? But am I right in thinking a 20 Essence will buy you a tier 5? Is that right? So you could essentially, it's not, when you think of it like that, it's like you could win a card if you want to just accept a quick tier 5, or, if you open 10 boxes, you might have enough for a tier 3. So people might end up over the course of a couple of game weeks with a card, but it will be a card closest to what they actually want, rather than just a card, the excitement of opening a card. And it'd be interesting to see, yeah, like how those card openings, if they're the same as what we've currently got. But yeah, if you look at that, what tier milestone 1, 20 essence, and you got a 10% chance of hitting a 20 essence grab in one box. So there's a pretty good chance there of 20 essence, and you still with that 20 essence got a shot at something better than a tier 5. So 33% of the time you'll be up at a tier 4. So I think I like it. What do you reckon? Yeah, where are you standing on this essence? I think this is better than putting cards in boxes, personally.
Well, it's one and the same in a roundabout way, because if you do want to just instantly redeem, like, yeah, fair enough. But I do think like a lot of people won't be instantly redeeming. I think if you get to it, I don't think anyone is cashing milestone 1 in, because it's 50% chance of a tier 5, and then see, by getting to 50 essence, you have got 0% chance of a tier 5.
Yeah.
So it really does feel like the 21 is a bit of a red herring, Then it really depends on your frequency of wins, but because there is like a good chance of getting a lot of essence, I think, out of these boxes, and these in essence will be in rivals boxes, I'm sure, as well. Has been said. So I do think milestone 2 and 3 is really where everyone's looking. But part of the thing to add into this equation is Sorare have said the cards that the essence will produce will be based on the kind of theme of the competition you've won it from, and we've all taken that as like champion, contender, challenger, right? Which will be the case. But what do they do with this one? Is it only European Championship players because this is European Championship essence, or is this global anything goes essence where it could be some J League guys you win or something? So
yeah,
because it's not guaranteed, it's just it will be factored in. So do you want to win 20 essence and then cash it in and get a reserve guy for a K League team? Doesn't really help you for the Euros, does it? Or really your gallery in general. So it's it's still kind of there. Like if you do get the 20 essence, you could just pull a card, but I don't think
I definitely read K Sorare or K Sorare in the chat is asking any word yet on how much power we have over what cards we craft. And I definitely read in one of the updates that, let's say like you won 50% of your essence playing in Challenger and 50% of it playing in Champ, then you're going to have a 50-50 chance of a Champ or Challenger card. You won't have any chance of a Contender. So it does kind of track the competition that you won that box that had the essence in it from. So unless you're winning essence, well, we don't win essence in All-Star or Cap mode, so it'll always be tracked back to the competition in which that essence was won, which is quite complicated to think about. But if you only play Challenger, you're only going to win Challenger cards with your essence. So yeah, if you are the kind of player who only plays Premier League or only plays this, then you're only going to win a card from that division. But yeah, if you say, let's say you play 90% of you win 90% of your essence in Premier League and then 10% in Contender, you've got a 10% chance of that card coming out as a Contender as well. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Recommend says you also get 3 boxes at the top, so you could get 9 boxes, so 180 essence max per game week from one lineup.
If you had 3 entries hit top,
and they all got in there. We've got 3 boxes out of each one, but then obviously you can do that across multiple divisions and stuff like that as well. So it's it's going to be intriguing to see who ends up with what, I think. But I'm quite excited. I'm quite tempted to try and hit the heights of those, like those tier 1 star, tier 2s. Be interesting to see how quickly the essence does rack up, because I think if I find myself winning it as often as I was winning, say, like boosts, if your essence is coming in as often as the boosts were coming in, then it might not take too long to get to that milestone 3 or 4. When I say too long, it might be, it might take a couple of months or a month or something like that. Like, like let's say like 6 game weeks, 7 game weeks, depending on how many lineups you got. At the moment, I've got quite a few, so I'd be definitely looking at those kind of tier milestone 3 upwards for me, I think. But remains to be seen. Let's see how much of this essence we start farming once the tournaments, because obviously there's going to be less lineups in these game weeks as well, when we're only going to have the Europeans and the All-Star competitions, I guess, right, in the next few weeks. No, we've got the Copper as well, haven't we? The Copper's is the Copper America tournament going to have the essence in it?
I've got no idea, to be honest with you. I've not looked at anything Copa America, so they're based. It's all been Euros for me. So I actually don't know, to be quite honest with you, mate.
Yeah, they have been a little bit quiet on the Copa. I know that they've obviously got a prize pool set aside for it, but I haven't seen anything about Essence to do with the Copa, or or any kind of special prizes. Like, there's no sort of experiences lined up, is there, for the Copa? No, we haven't got a Chicharito experience or anything like that.
No, I don't think we do.
Yeah.
I was going to say, sorry, Andre's asking if I've stacked for Copa. I think I've just answered that. I've not even. No idea what's even going on.
I've been following the friendlies, and I know I've got a few cards, but I don't think that I have a full lineup. I think I've probably got. The one thing actually on the subject of buying cards is, if I am tempted to do anything in this moment, it is kill the two birds with the one stone. I've been mentioning I need that goalkeeper card for champ super rare. Maybe I go in now, buy a champ card super rare that is also eligible for the Euros. So it's like, I can use it probably as it'll be used as a rare in that competition. It won't be used as a super. But I'm assuming that the tournaments here are where like the scarcities can drop down a level. So if I did buy a super rare goalkeeper, would I be able to use them in the rare competition at the moment, or are they completely separate?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'd need to go into the team builder or something actually and have a go at that. I'll go into pro and see if I can have a go at it now, because I know you can set your lineups, can't you?
You can't play down a scarcity either.
You can't.
No.
So
sorry. Yeah.
That wouldn't be of any benefit to me then, buying a super rare goalkeeper, because I don't think I've got the cards for the Euros. It's
well, this is what Mikey's saying here is kind of what I was further down the path with when we're talking about that, is like, especially because of the amount of essence we're going to get out these boxes now, like, you don't want to be cashing your 20 in for a tier 5 that doesn't work. Everyone is going to want to try and build up as much as they can, and then as soon as new season comes, is like, right, how much have you got from the summer? How much did you get maybe over the first match day or two of the new season? Oh, I finally got to milestone 4. I've just got to milestone 5. And I think that's where a lot of us, like the veterans, will be playing the essence. I don't think anyone's cashing the 20 in, maybe the 50, but depends how small your gallery is, because the 51 isn't bad. Like, really, if you got that over like 1 game week, 2 boxes, no tier 5 guaranteed, like, that's not too shabby. So yeah, I think that's ultimately the way most of us will be playing it, is try and hoover up as much of it as you can and get as high a tier as you can and as early into the new season as you can.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think this has got me excited for it. I was saying I wouldn't buy anyone, but I am considering now, just looking at, because I've got some really good lineups potentially there. I could definitely get 2 good rare lineups out if I knew I had a second starting goalkeeper. At the moment, my goalkeeper options are Donnarumma and Ter Stegen, and obviously Ter Stegen's not going to likely get any minutes unless Neuer is injured. Donnarumma, even, I wouldn't say is completely nailed at the minute. I think he is, but Vicario played pretty well in the first friendly. But yeah, I think Donnarumma's up there with almost like the kind of the captains of the Italian team, isn't he? So I'm expecting him to start, but yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon, Quinny? Have I got any worries with Donnarumma?
I think Donnarumma's pretty nailed on for Italy. I know Vicario's, I think Donnarumma is untouchable. Like, he's the guy,
Yeah, I mean, Buffon's come out in the press and said, like, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. So if, like, Buffon is saying that, then they're getting him ready for the Euros. They're putting that kind of confidence into him. So I'll be very surprised if he didn't start. But yeah, Ter Stegen, I can't see, unless Neuer picks an injury up. He's not going to get dropped, is he? But yeah, kind of half tempted to just pick a Neuer up, because I think in terms of like value for money, I was looking at, if I do buy a goalkeeper with the European Championships in mind, it's got to be a goalkeeper that I'm going to make good use of next season. So the only other one I was thinking was like Pickford, because I need a goalkeeper for the next season's Prem competition if I want to enter that. I don't currently have a Prem goalkeeper, so maybe if I go with Pickford, I've got a Prem goalkeeper, but not obviously a particularly high scoring one. there any other keepers in the Prem that you would say are nailed for their championships teams? I was looking at like
Dubravka, if you count him as a Prem keeper.
Yeah, not for me. I think once Pope's back is. Who else have we got? We've got like Sar in Portugal squad, but I think Costa's going to start. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't think Saz nailed on at all. I think in the Prem it is quite slim pickings, but obviously Alisson Ederson being in Brazil. Petrovic, I don't think's get the jersey at all for Serbia. It's him,
No.
Milinkovic, Savic, and Rakovic. I think it'll be Milinkovic, Savic, the keeper. And yeah, like I don't think Flecken's getting over Verbruggen at this point. And then outside of that, a lot of the keepers, I don't think they are internationals for the most part. Dean Henderson obviously on the bench at England.
Yeah, I guess like Verbruggen is going to be the number one of the championships, but he's not likely nailed on at Brighton, is he? So it's
well, maybe with their new manager, if they get this St. Pauli guy, I don't see him messing about with goalkeepers in his debut season in the Premier League at the age of 31. You know, the youngest ever Premier League manager in the offing there. So yeah, he's probably a bit safer there.
Right. Maybe he's not a bad shout because then you've also got the U23 utility with Verbruggen, haven't you? But he is going to come at a price because of that. But Netherlands look pretty good for the Euros. It's tough, but I feel also it's just almost like, am I just getting overexcited about the European Championships because I don't really need another champ goalkeeper? But if it is a Prem one, I mean, if I look at Bundesliga as well, that said, it could. I mean, La Liga, Bundesliga, and Prem we've got right for next season. If I'm looking at Bundesliga, I do have Harry Kane, I do have Kimmich, I have Wirtz, I have Musiala. So I've got, the bones of a really good Bundesliga lineup as well. So it wouldn't hurt maybe to pick up like a Neuer or something like that, who then I can use again next season for the Bundesliga. But yeah, it definitely kicked up just talking to you today and looking at what I've got lined up for the weekend. I'm like, that second lineup would be all right if I had another keeper, because I've got, as it stands, my two Euros teams look like this in rare. Number one is Donnarumma in goal, Ruben Dias at the back, Toni Kroos in midfield, Mbappe up top, and Bruno Fernandes. And I think that's strong. The next team is just as strong. Take the keeper. Ter Stegen in goal, who's not going to play. Gvardiol, Kimmich, Kane, and Wirtz. Like, that's a good team if you've got another goalkeeper. So am I wasting the use of those cards for the next few months by not having another goalkeeper? What do you reckon, Quinny? Do I have to go in and get one?
You maybe regret it if you don't, but it's one of those ones where it is just the group stages, so it's for 3 games, and really, like, I would just put more pressure on getting your best team in rather than making sure you've got 2 teams so you don't miss anyone, because like will Kane play all 3 group stage games? Will Wirtz play all 3 group stage games? So there'll be a wee bit of dovetailing and bobbing and weaving to be done, I think. So
yeah, I mean, I've got other players that are at the.
Gaza says I go for it. There's probably not a bad move to be made, to be honest with you, but I'm a wee bit more sensible, I guess, in these positions.
Yeah, on top of that, for anyone else listening as well, if this like helps tip it in the balance further, if I had a third goalkeeper, there's even more players that are left still. So like they're the 2 sort of teams I've got there. But if I go into putting a third team together, I've got Pavlovic, Grimaldo, Usman Dembele, Luka Sukic, Sebastian Szymanski, Benjamin Pavard, Benjamin Sesko, Joachim Anderson, Jamal Musiala, João Cancelo, Mikola Matvienko, Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Joselu, Ferran Torres, and Giacomo Raspadori. So I've got a lot of other players that I can rotate around. So if I haven't got at least 2 goalkeepers, I'm almost wasting a lot of cards there. I'm going to use some of those cards in U23, obviously. I do have a goalkeeper who's covered, who's got fixtures through the Euros. So, yeah, it's not a complete loss, but
Galatia is the Hungary number 1. Probably won't get out the group, but
yeah,
he's kind of cheap.
Yeah,
Castells for Belgium might move to Saudi, as yet unconfirmed, but
is Castells over to Saudi? Is that happening?
It might. That's the rumour, that they're going to pay him a bag of money. And that's why his price is a bit suppressed, even though he's Belgium number 1. But it's not confirmed. And if he has a good tournament, he gets a good offer from Europe. So I don't think he leaves personally. I was very surprised by the Saudi links in general.
Yeah.
Because I always thought the motivation he had for leaving Wolfsburg was going to go and try and win some medals somewhere, or go and try and, you know, like, not just be a run-of-the-mill Bundesliga guy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think I do need to get one. I know I should have done this weeks ago, but it's now like I was saying the other week, it's like until it's right on top of us and it's staring us in the face, like, what are you all missing? Now I can see it. It's like there's two really good teams there. Like, there's not really an A and B. It's just a fixture thing. Like, Kane or Mbappe is not a particularly difficult choice. They both should do well, whatever team they're in. Same with players like Wirtz. You know, like, I've got Wirtz, Musiala, Kroos, and Kimmich, 4 German midfielders. I can't put more than 2 of them in one team. So if Germany have a good fixture, I think all of them play as well. Granted, Kimmich is probably going to be playing at right back the way things are looking for them. But, you know, you'd expect Kroos to start at least 2 of the group games. And then, you know, if they're through, they'll probably rest in the third. Musiala and Wirtz, you know, they're young. They're probably going to get as many minutes as their legs will allow. And yeah, I just think that's 4 players that could go quite far in the tournament, home tournament as well. Kane, you know, if England turn up, he should be firing on all cylinders. Mbappe's Mbappe. He's going to score, and France are going to do well. I can't see them not doing well. And if they're doing well, he's amongst the goals all the time, isn't he? So yeah, I fancy my chances across 2 teams, even if I have got leftovers that can kind of like shift into U23 or All-Star in the meantime. But if what you say about the essence is right as well, and it's like, oh, this is the Essence Fest, and we're not going to get Essence like this. This might be the opportunity to try and win some of that, and hopefully try and craft a decent card or 2 before the season starts. I wonder if we can hold on to them for a little while as well, because it might be nice to just hold on to that Essence until the in-season cards start and be like, bang, let's go. Get those in-season bad boys ready for the start of the season, which would be a cool tactic.
The only intel they've gave us on that is there's no expiry date, but the maximum amount of essence you can hold is 550.
Right.
So if you get over 550, it doesn't add on to your tally. You're just throwing it into oblivion.
Almost, yeah. Otherwise, you're just burning it.
Yeah. So you can't hang on and get to like 1,000 and then do 2 of them at the one go or anything clever like that. You've got to, you know, once you get basically to the top, do something and go again. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll have the in-season cards shortly after, because getting to that sort of 550, that'll put you up to that top end of it, right? The star or the tier 1. And if you can guarantee a star or tier 1 with Essence and it's like in-season time, then you're essentially like, fingers crossed, you're lucky enough to get yourself a champ so that you've got that start of the Euro. I'm done really well the last few weeks, actually. Managed to scrape a tier 3 last week, Quinny.
Nice.
And I won another really good contender card, Leo Ciara, who plays in the J League for Cerezo Osaka. He's got really good L15. You know, his card's worth about 110 quid, something like that. You know, he's L15 60 odd, I think. And that means I've got an in-season forward in the J League that, you know, essentially till the end of the year, I'll be able to use in season. So my in-season contender and even challenger, I've won a few more MLS cards recently. Nothing that exciting, but I think I won a Dante Vanzia. That's not too bad, you know, on his day. But yeah, it's just the champ, the in-season champ for next season when it starts. The sooner I can start winning cards in that division, the sooner I can compete in the in-season, I think.
Well, I've had a little bit of joy over the last couple of weeks with under 23. So I was just having a wee glance at this just to see if it's just my perception or if it's reality. But I've won, a good couple of cards. And the main thing I want to highlight here is the tier 3s. So 57th, game week 476. This might have been like one of the last weeks of Europe, right? But I got that Mandas, who was playing for Lazio at the time. But then since the season finished, 479. So maybe that was like the next weekend or something. I won a single big Champ Euro guy that I won with non-Champ Euro guys. And then last weekend there, I finished 19th and I won again that was a tier 2, I beg your pardon. But I won at Openda, who's also playing in the Euros and stuff like that. But a European card with no European stuff going on or whatever. So I've quite enjoyed the wee under 23s in this non-EU period for getting a wee bit of end product that's a bit more meaningful rather than just. I've won a few guys in cap mode there, as you've probably seen as well, and it's just guys from contender, which is kind of fine for me, but I don't really need any contender cards. I've got 3 seasons worth already.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? It's more like if you win a contender card now that is useful between now and the season starting, the European season, then that's not too bad because, I'm looking at my kind of like squad building for the next few weeks, and I've actually got, potential to fill out cap modes with non-European playing players, which is a really nice position to be in without having to like go into the market and spend.
Yeah, that was another suggestion that came your way, Stish, for the cards you've got is playing under 23. Maybe if you had a Tani, I don't know, Sacco or something, just get someone that's not got the premium of the Euros and just slide them into, and then you can supplement them with whoever else you've got lying around, so that's maybe a wee angle to think about. Andre's asking if there can be changes to the squad. Yeah, I think there is. Like, we're almost at the deadline of everything needs to be finalised. I think we're basically there today or tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly when, but there's still wee bits of movement with some of the squads. I think it's all but done at this stage. And Rico Man asking about Olympic squad announcements. I think, again, some of them are done. You just kind of need to look out for who you're interested in and see if they've done it yet or not. I'm not too sure on the precise deadline for it, but again, that'll be international football that'll be covered to some extent or another. So it should be a busy old summer for it. But I think for me, for the Euros, like, I've not got an extra keeper. I've only got the one. And I guess that was kind of half my, just kind of thoughts I was thinking with yourself, but you do have an extra level or two of high quality depth there, but I'm just probably swinging one team out for the most part, and like it's just bits and pieces. Like, I've probably got one decent team, but I've not really got much in midfield. It's like McGregor, Forrest, Olmo, who I just got, Wirtz, who plays Scotland the first game, Limer, who plays France the first game, and then defence, it's Anderson, Frimpong, Robertson, Juranovic. Not sure he gets a game over Stanisic these days, so not that much. And then in attack, it's Depay, Openda, and the recently acquired super sub Oyarzabal. So, yeah, hopefully grab a wee bit of essence with these guys. But when I did see how many guys I had here, I was like, I could get a second squad. I'm like, no, just try and nail in on quality. But I think, Sis, you've probably got that room to get Team 2 out, and it's not too detrimental to your top line quality.
It is just one player, Like, I've got enough across different positions and stuff that still got flexibility there, and I think a lot of them are nailed on starters as well. Obviously, there's a few that, Ferran Torres, Hosselu, they're probably not going to be nailed on. Raspadori is another one that I'm not 100% sure which way Italy are going to start, but
I think he plays a bit for them, by the way. I think he'll feature.
I think he will. He's definitely more useful for Italy than he is for Napoli, that's for sure. So, I think I'll get some use out of him. Dembele as well in France, be interesting to see how they line up. But I am tempted to get a goalkeeper. I'll have a little look today and see if any of the bot trader accounts have got anything useful that I can spot. Yeah, exactly that. Especially with the Euros around the corner now, they'll know, some of these cards are going to get sold if someone doesn't trade them. So I don't think you're going to be getting any favourable trading going on for the next few days if it's anything to do with Euros cards. But yeah, I think I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for the tournament. I'm excited for rivals and all the fun of the fair, so to speak. So what do you reckon at sort of closing? We're starting to come to the closing stages. What do you reckon, Quinny? What as a Scotsman, how hopeful are you of the Scottish causing the first upset of the tournament on Friday?
I think we've got a decent shot at it, just because we've got a lot of character, a lot of quality in the team as well. It's maybe not the perfect squad or the most well-rounded or whatever, but Germany aren't their great self at the moment. But I do think that cruise element might change that. Being at home might change that. But I wanted to just have a quick scan ahead to next week. We'll be back, obviously, catching up with this. And we will have had England play and Scotland. So when we're doing this next week, we'll actually be this time next week, 2:00 UK time, as I talk to you now, it's just 1:30. Romania, Ukraine will be kicking off in like half an hour from now. So we'll be halfway through match day 1 for the tournament this time next week. So yeah, in terms of like final kind of things on the show for this week, I'm looking forward to next week as like having been in the trenches for a few days, having some success and failure. Is there some DNP pain? Is there VAR chaos, refereeing catastrophes, or pure left field things from international coaches, or even some last minute squad adjustments that we've been speaking about just now. So that's more where my full focus is. It's just like, this between now and next week, like coming back, we'll be previewing Romania, Ukraine, maybe. We'll be setting some rivals lineups on the podcast with you also. A bit of banter. And,
we'll be able to follow it through the fixture, see how we'll be getting on. Be good to see actually how we're all doing this time next week on rivals, because we'll have had a fair few fixtures by then, and it'll be really interesting to see how people are engaging with the tournament as well.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in will be by that stage, so it'll be good crack. I say England will have played Serbia, Scotland, Germany. We'll also have Spain, Croatia, and there's a few other teams that are playing good games, but not too much, too big heavy hitters. It's more just maybe Holland have a good game against Poland and that kind of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really to chase on the leaderboard or to pray for midweek or anything. But yeah, I feel a wee bit of Super McGinn will be happening for Scotland against Germany. And I do feel that like the quality we've got in midfield, like, and how tight the defence has been, and just how well. I said this to someone, I think it was like just kicking about and stuff, but this will be like Steve Clarke's Kilmarnock against Celtic or Rangers. That will be the style. That will be the kind of like Steve Clarke had Kilmarnock in third, if any of you don't remember when he was there, and Kilmarnock are a long way off that these days, just to kind of help you understand what I mean there. So it'll be tight. It'll be counter attack. We might score a goal or two. But I remember us beating Germany like not that long ago. Maybe under Gordon Strachan. I want to say James McArthur scored. Or did we beat them or draw or something? No, I don't think we did. Oh, we did draw. We've not beat them in a while, but I think away we gave them a good effort. They just about, must have been 2014. Yeah, so we went to Germany and we lost 2-1. Ikichi Anya scored in the 66th minute, and then Thomas Muller made them win it 4 minutes later. And then the last time we played them, they beat us 3-2. James McArthur made it 2 each right before half time. And then Gundogan came out in the 54th minute to make it 3-2, and then the game died off from there. That was like the last generation of Scotland, and like the team, we've got, what's even his first name? I wanted to say Liam, but I need to double check that. No, it's James. James Morrison, if any of you remember him from West Brom. Scott Brown, James McArthur, Russell Martin, the Southampton manager, he was in centre back. Alan Hutton was at right back. David Marshall was in goal. Stephen Fletcher was up front. So, and that team for Germany is like Schweinsteiger, Müller, Gundogan, Ozil, Götze, Kroos. So like, we could be plucky against Germany. We could definitely give them a shot. They're probably it'll be 3-2 Germany or something probably, but like we might give a good fist of it. We might get a draw. We might just about steal a win. Who knows? But yeah, I'm definitely buzzing for it. And it's a great game to open the tournament. Tartan Army. Yeah. They're in full colour. Germany, the host nation. Friday night,
Great.
Begin from 30 yards, a banger. I can see it.
Where are you watching it, Quinny?
Oh, I actually have not even thought that far ahead. Probably at home. Maybe I might go to the pub. I've not thought that far ahead. And this is maybe the exact point to finish the show on. Who do we think could be the surprise dark horse team of the Euros? Like, who qualifies from the group with a bit of pomp? Who maybe knocks a big team out in a knockout?
I'm gonna have a little look at the groups again, remind myself. But
I'll tell you mine, right, before you can have a wee scan, right? I've did a full breakdown of all the squads on the channel already for Euro 2024. I went out on Friday or Thursday last week, and when I was doing that, I really do think Ukraine are going to cruise into second position in their group, and subsequently with the goals that they've got in their team, like, they've got 2 quality goalkeepers as well, Trubin and Lunin. Take your pick of who's going to get in. They've not got the best squad top to bottom. They need to get quite lucky with who they get in the knockouts. But I think Ukraine gets second in their group easy enough and makes that a good dark horse shout for me.
I'm looking now, and I think that the Group D is an interesting one. Austria, France, Netherlands, Poland. I think obviously France, I think, should win that group, but that it's hard to call that group. I think it's a lot harder to call that group than people realize. Poland, I don't think are quite as good as they were. So, Lewandowski's not the player that he was. So I I like Netherlands because I think that Javi Simons is a great player. If they can get him playing, they've obviously got Veerman there, who could surprise people. He's got a big point to prove in this tournament, hasn't he? And I think with the injuries in that squad, he is likely to be pretty nailed on in that midfield. So big time for him. But I think, yeah, if you're looking at like potential surprise packages, I'm going to go with Turkey, because I think that in that group with Portugal, they'll probably have a little bit too much for Georgia and Czech Republic, which would put them into one of the top two positions. And they're due a good turn up at a tournament. They haven't delivered, have they, for the last few finals that they've got to? And it is a massive footballing nation. I think they've got some potential stars in that team, Arda Güler being the standout of the youngsters there. But I don't know what it is. I keep looking at them and thinking, like, there was always one, isn't there? There's always a surprise. And I think if it's not Turkey, if Turkey don't deliver, then the surprise package in that same group could be Georgia, because I don't think they're mugs either. But I think that a lot of people will look at them as like the whipping boys of the tournament. But, you know, if they turn up and are anything less than that, that will be surprising. But yeah, I fancy Turkey to get through their group, and then, you know, anything can happen in the knockouts.
Yeah, big time. I'm a feel the way on that one. And yeah, I like Turkey. I like Georgia as well. Georgia having Kravadona and Mamardashvili, you know, it's two good kind of pillars of a team, you know. So yeah, bring it on. Thanks to everyone that's tuned into the show this week. And yeah, we'll be back same time, same place. Hopefully a little bit quicker on the Spotify uploads. But yeah, if you're watching this after we've been live or anything, drop comments, let us know your thoughts and feelings, what you're doing to get ready for the Euros, and what private leagues you've been involved in. Stish, it's been an absolute pleasure, my man.
Always a pleasure, Quinny. Good luck, and good luck everyone at the start of the Euros.